So in the last video, we started with 4 simple chord symbols and a blank sheet of music paper. And out of that, we created an actual arrangement, or what we sometimes call a realization, that you can actually play at the piano, an actual piece of music, or the beginning at least of a piece of music that you could play at the piano. And I want to explore in this video just a couple of other ways in which we can approach that, and maybe a couple of other things that we could do. And let's go back to our little arrangement here. Let me just play this again, just so we remember what this sounds like. Here's the F minor, the D flat major, the A flat major, and the E flat major. This, by the way, is what we sometimes call a chord progression, a series of chords that feel like they kind of make sense together. And in fact, this happens to be the chord progression that starts out the John Legend song, All of Me. You might recognize it if I play it a little bit in rhythm. And then repeat it. So one of the things I want you to notice, and you might notice this especially if you've already played this at the piano, is that there's a lot of, this sounds pretty good, but there's a lot of jumping around that happens. We have to jump a fair amount in our right hand, going from the F to the D. All 3 pitches are jumping by a third. And then we have to jump a whole lot to get from the D flat to the A flat. Look at this. We have to jump a fifth in each of our fingers. From the D flat to the A flat, from the F to the C, and from the A flat to the E flat. And that's not really easy. And it sounds, even when I play it, it sounds a little bit jumpy in the right hand. Not bad, but a little bit jumpy. We want to see if there's maybe a way that we can smooth that out just a bit. And we're going to go back to the idea of octave doubling and revoicing of chords. And what we're going to do is, for now, I'm not going to touch the left hand at all. I'm going to keep these bass notes, these notes in the bottom, exactly where they are, which, by the way, is going to ensure that we're still using the correct inversion. All these chords are in root position, so we don't want to change the bass just yet. But what we are going to do is mess a little bit with the notes in the right hand to see if we can make those transitions a little bit smoother. For instance, notice that going from the F chord to the D flat chord, we actually have, even though it sounds jumpy, we actually have 2 notes in common between these 2 chords, or what we sometimes call common tones. That F and that A flat. Both of the chords have the F and the A flat in common. It's really just the fact that the F minor has this C up at the top, and this D flat has the D flat down at the bottom that really makes everything kind of jumpy. So what if we were to revoice or rearrange the notes in this D flat chord to make this a little bit less jumpy? Here's what we might do. What if we take this D flat that's in the bottom and move it up an octave to the top, up here? Now we still have a triad. We still have all 3 notes that we need. So I'm going to move that D flat up there. I've just revoiced or rearranged the notes in this chord a little bit. So notice, now we don't have to jump a lot. The only note that's actually going to be moving from the F minor to the D flat is the C, which is going to move up to the D flat. Notice how much more smooth this is. Let me play the F minor. And if you play this at the piano, you'll notice it even more. It's so much easier to play. Okay. Now, let's see, is there anything similar that we can do going from the D flat to the A flat? Because that's still pretty jumpy. Well, again, notice the D flat and the A flat have this note in common, this A flat in common. So what if we keep that A flat, and let's see if there's another way to rearrange the notes in the A flat major chord that would make this a little bit less jumpy. So what if we did this? What if we moved this E flat down the octave? We move that E flat down here to be right above middle C. So now we have the fifth on the bottom and the root in the middle and then the third on top. So now this D flat is just going down a single note to the A, and the F is just going down a single note to the E flat. So instead of going jumping all the way up, we go. That's a lot smoother. So now let me play all three of these chords so you can hear how smooth we've made that transition. So I'm going to go back to the F minor. Listen to that. Let me add the left hand in just so you can see what that's going to add. And again, if you're playing this, if you're actually playing this at the piano, you will notice that difference even more. It's so much easier to play. What we've just done in introducing a little bit of this rearranging to sort of smooth out the transition from one chord to the next is something we call voice leading. Trying to make sure the individual notes, or what we sometimes call voices, of the chord move as little as possible to get from one chord to the next. And you can hear, let me just play the original. The original sounded like this. Now here's the version that we've made, rearranging the voice leading to make it smoother. Voice leading is something that you'll explore a lot when you get into harmony and counterpoint, but I just wanted to introduce that here because it's a pretty simple idea and a pretty powerful idea, and not just in music theory, but in your own musical practice and your own songwriting and your own song creation, it can make kind of a really big difference in how you see things. So, in the next video, we're going to take some of these skills that we've learned for realizing chords and put them into practical use in a lead sheet. And you'll find out what a lead sheet is in the next video.